Hi, everyone. I'm Kirk Bachman, and welcome back to The Ultimate Dish. Today, I'm honored to welcome a true culinary legend, Chef Marc Vetri, the award-winning chef, restaurateur, and founder of Philadelphia's iconic Vetri Cucina. A Philadelphia native, Marc opened Vetri Cucina in 1998 with his business partner, Jeff Benjamin. The restaurant quickly gained national acclaim, earning him a spot as one of Food & Wine's best new chefs, and later winning the James Beard Award for Best Chef Mid-Atlantic. His influence helped revitalize Philadelphia's dining scene, leading to the launch of Osteria, Amis, Pizzeria Vetri, L'Ospito, and Alla Spina, each making a lasting impact on the city's culinary landscape. In 2015, Marc partnered with Urban Outfitters to expand several of his restaurants, and overseeing a successful transition, he returned to his focus to pushing culinary boundaries at Vetri Cucina. The restaurant maintained its elite 4-bell rating from the Philadelphia Inquirer and earned a coveted spot on AAA's exclusive 5 Diamond Restaurants list. Marc's passion for Italian cuisine has taken him far beyond Philadelphia. In 2020, he opened the pasta-focused Fiorella in Philadelphia's Italian market, followed by Mr. Maurice's Italian in Kyoto, Japan, as a tribute to his grandfather. That same year, he opened Osteria Fiorella in Las Vegas, originally a pop-up that became a permanent fixture at Red Rock Casino Resort and Spa. His presence in Las Vegas continued to grow with the reopening of Vetri Cucina at Palms Casino Resort in 2022, offering breathtaking views from the 56th floor. Most recently, he launched MVP, a pizza spot inside the Wells Fargo Center, home to the Philadelphia Flyers and 76ers, as well as Pizzeria Salvi, a heartfelt tribute to his father, Sal Vetri, located in the Comcast Technology Center. And in December of 2023, he expanded his beloved pasta bar concept with the opening of Fiorella, Las Vegas at Durango Casino and Resort. Beyond the kitchen, Marc founded the Vetri Community Partnership, a nonprofit dedicated to providing children and families with nutrition education. He's also a prolific writer, having authored 5 award-winning cookbooks, with one new book set to release in the fall of 2025. Join us as we explore Marc's extraordinary career, his passion for Italian cooking, and what's next for this legendary chef. And there he is. Good morning, Chef. How are you?
I fell asleep for that intro. It's so long. It's been a fun ride.
Yeah, and it feels like the ride keeps going. I'm so excited that we're chatting today. Many may not know that you spend some time in Boulder, and I'm sitting in Boulder, and Escafi's got a school here. And I'll tell the quick story that I shared with you earlier.
How we met.
How we met, sitting at a bar, a beautiful bar at a restaurant in Boulder called Corrida, which is a Spanish steakhouse owned by Brian Dayton, who's just a mainstay here in Boulder and the state of Colorado, and a great guy. And I'm sitting there at the bar with my wife to my right, and lo and behold, you're to my left. I'm minding my own business, and my wife, Gretchen, leans in and says, "That's Marc Vetri next to you." And I'm like, mind your own business. She's like, "That's Marc Vetri next to you." So lo and behold, I leaned over, she leaned over, we said hello, and we met. And here we are today. I'm so privileged and appreciative. And, we're close with Bobby.
He's amazing.
Did I hear this correctly, that you and your wife had your wedding party at Fresca, Bobby's restaurant here in Boulder?
Sort of, yeah. So it was a sort of surprise. So we actually got married up at the Flagstaff house.
The Flagstaff house, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Long story short, we actually went to Boulder for this yoga thing. So I'm doing the yoga, and you guys had Richard Freeman out there. It was like this like world renowned yogi, and he was having a seminar, and this is probably 2000, the winter of 2005. So we got married September 2005. So we're out there. We did a yoga seminar. Then I asked her to marry me, and I was like, I don't want to get married in Philly. I just don't want to get married. I got relatives who I don't want to come, but I got to invite them. Whole normal family stuff. Like
They may listen to this, Chef. They may listen to this. We got to be careful.
So yeah, she was like, what do you want to get married? It's like, hey, how about we go to Boulder? Love it there. What's going on? Okay. Looked around, Flagstaff House. We got married on a Saturday at noon. They had you could get married from noon to 4 for $5,000 rent out the restaurant, or you could be married from 5 to midnight for $18,000. I was like, I love an afternoon wedding.
I love an afternoon wedding.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Afternoons are great for getting married.
Oh my gosh.
So we got married, and then that evening, everyone was off. I was like, hey, you guys figure out whatever you want to do, make reservations. We'll do a Sunday morning hike, whatever, blah, blah. So there was 75 folks there. So I'm like, I'm going to go to Frasca because they're open for 1 year now. And I had known Bobby from other stuff, but I didn't know him really well. So I went there, and literally my whole wedding was everyone was there. I was walking around the room, and then they ended up staying open late and opening up bottles of champagne. So it was an impromptu sort of thing.
I love it. I love it. And that's so like Bobby, right?
Oh my God.
The art of hospitality, just the nicest people. And they're doing great,
Oh my God. Yeah.
Our students aspire to go there, right? And they hire who they can, right? And they keep moving. I always like to open these shows, talking about roots and influences and the journeys. And we have a lot of not just my family that listens to the podcast. We do have students and people around the country. And so I always like to start, Chef, by going back to the early stages of your career. What people don't realize often is all the work that goes into it, and the dreams and the influences and all that. And if you will, would you mind taking us back to those weekends cooking with your Sicilian grandmother in South Philly, and what did you learn from her? What did you take with for your incredible career?
Yeah. Well, I think mostly from that, I just learned the love of food, and that was all about making food, welcoming in everyone into your home, and sitting down and having a big meal together. And that's just not only food, that's also hospitality, and that's the restaurant industry. That Sunday sort of thing for me was the essence of the restaurant industry. I wasn't thinking about it like that then. I was just thinking, oh, we're going down to my father's and mother's house for dinner. That's what we do Sundays. But looking at it now, it's the essence of everything that we do in this industry. And I just fell in love with it there. I looked forward to it. I always wanted to head down early to help her make stuff. And then I started getting into making things and making the meatballs, stuffing the artichokes, making the gravy, and all that stuff. And I just fell in love with that sort of routine. And then, when I was 15 years old, I wanted, to work. So I worked a few days a week after, after school at restaurants, washing dishes. And everything was always whatever I would, I went to school for marketing and finance. I worked nights in restaurants. I went out to LA to go to music school. I worked in restaurants to make money, and everything I was always kind of doing, but working in restaurants. And I always found that sort of restaurant vibe, making food for people, making folks happy, seeing them eat and smile, or learning, all that stuff just was was really what I loved. And then it all sort of, I was out in LA. It was like early '90s, and I was kind of finished music school. Was, was in a band. I was working in restaurants, and I was kind of like, what am I doing? I really love restaurants. And then I, met a guy who's from Sicily, and and I was just kind of sitting there with him, and he was like, my friend has a restaurant in northern Italy, and he has rooms for the line cooks. So he's like, you can just, you want to go. So I was like 24 or 5 years old, and I bought a one way to Italy and started working, and spent the next year and a half there, and that's when I knew, like, okay, this is
what
what
you're
I want
doing.
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I love that you went right into this is so perfect because whenever the majority of people that we chat with, the thought leaders that come on to our show
Mhm.
are chefs, right? And
Sure.
for whatever reason, right? You could see Dave Matthews and U2 and Fleetwood Mac,
Sure. Yeah.
up on the wall there. And the fact that you studied music tells me that you love music. And do you still practice music? And what's the instrument? Can you? Can you?
Almost every day. Yeah. There's the guitar. Me and my buddy Phil Roy we had a little thing going on where we were doing like food and music, and we sort of started like hosting things at the restaurant and like selling, and then we ended up doing a small thing where we opened up for a larger act for a little while. We did some shows and stuff, but yeah, I love it. I've been I've been I've been playing guitar for 45 years at this point.
Oh, I just love it.
Yeah.
It's music and motorcycles. So my motorcycle is kind of in the garage more than it is on the street these days.
Yeah.
As you get older, it gets more dangerous. But
Of course, I know.
if I had to ask you the top 3 bands from Marc Vetri of all time, what would they be?
Well, no, number one for me is very easy. Led Zeppelin was always.
Zeppelin.
I was like the Zepp head.
I love it.
My
I love it.
my whole life. I mean, like, and I'm like a classic rock. I would honestly say, like, after number one, the others are all just kind of looped in the top like 15. Almost like
Sure. Yeah.
the Stones, obviously, the Beatles. I mean, like if there's a one, two, I would say obviously Zeppelin, Sons of Beatles. There's a plethora of like other stuff now. I'm really into the Dead. Been into them forever.
I love it. I go with and you said it perfectly. Zeppelin, we grew up with Zeppelin and
Yeah, sure.
everybody else is kind of in the mix, but I love you too. I've seen them a million times.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, great music. Fleetwood Mac and
Did you shoot him in Vegas? You made the Sphere?
I'm like the only person I know that didn't
Oh
see
my
you at
God.
the Sphere.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, everyone says it was.
I didn't see that show, but I saw the Dead there. It was amazing.
Was just incredible.
Yeah. It's really cool. Yeah, you definitely go.
You mentioned the Dead, and even the John Mayer version
Yeah.
of the Dead traveling around. They played at Folsom 3 or 4 years in a row. In fact, their last show at Folsom 2 summers ago.
I was there.
Were you there? We were there too.
I went to the show that they had actually stopped because of the lightning.
Yes, that's the show.
Yeah,
That's the show.
The third one, I think. Yeah, I was there.
And they had that crazy light show with the drones.
Yeah.
You know what?
The girls were, yeah, which was they didn't have at the other shows. And then Matthews came out
and played the entire third set.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
My wife lost her mind.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable stuff.
It was great.
It was one of the best, honestly. That was one of the better shows. So,
yeah,
that. And I'm so happy like I was there that night because I was thinking about going to the first one, but I wasn't able. So I just went to that one.
Yeah, we got lucky with that pick too. It's
Yeah.
always around 4th of July, so you never know when to go. But
Yeah.
if we could go back to LA, and so you worked with Wolfgang for a little while, right?
Yeah. I was I opened up the Malibu restaurant, Granita. I mean, I didn't open it up. I mean,
Yeah.
I was there like the first month.
What was that like? I've just always been a fan. My parents brought me a
Amazing.
menu years ago, like
There
before.
was
If,
there was one of those, this thing. I mean, again, this and this is kind of like why I don't know. I think there's a reason for everything. So I had heard that they were going to open, so I just went over there like 2 weeks after they opened. I was like, hey, you need anybody? And the guy was like, nah, but stop back again. You never know. I stopped back again, nothing. I stopped back like a week later, and he was like, hey, one of our line cooks, they didn't show up. You want to work? I was like, yeah, sure. So I worked the night, and he was like, hey, man, why don't you stop back, tomorrow? I was like, all right. And I just kept going back. And I went back for like 5 weeks, almost every day, every night, and just working for free. They didn't have anything for me. And I was like an extra, but they'll let me in because I was obviously like knocking down the door. And then like this 6 week in, somebody walked out, didn't give any notice, and they were like, you can actually work here now. So
I love that.
then and I got
That's
the
how it
gig.
happens sometimes, right? That's how serendipitously you're
Yeah.
just there at the
It was
right
cool.
at the right
Yeah, and
time.
it was awesome. I look at that as kind of my restaurant school because like that's where I really learned I had never learned how to make a stock, how to butcher a fish or a lamb or an animal, and then but they were getting in. This is like early '90s. There wasn't like pre-sliced 4 ounces of this. There was like here's a big fish, here's a whole lamb, here's a whole chicken. So I used to also because I work nights. I asked them if I could stop in early and work with the morning guys, be able to learn how to make all these items. So I used to go in early for free, and then I would punch in at 4 o'clock for my
For your shift, for
shift.
your normal shift.
Yeah, and like nowadays that's like super illegal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Class action lawsuit, blah blah blah. But it was for me. It wasn't.
That's how you learned. That's how you learned.
That's
Yeah.
how I learned. Nowadays they look at like, oh, they're restaurant owners taking advantage of you. And not like, no, man, it's just like that's not what's happening. Like that was my free school.
Speaking of learning, I'm really interested, and I think our students would love to hear how you started to hone your craft. So you spent a lot of time in Italy, and the regions, the different regions of different countries, and in your case, Italy, is what's so fascinating to me. And I'm wondering how that experience and probably different sort of, techniques and dishes kind of shaped your perspective on Italian cuisine based on what you already had in your DNA. And then, Mark, when you compare that to American cuisine or even the mindset of chefs in America, how does that different? And what should young people take from that? Is it still a great advantage to get overseas or go somewhere, experience the culture, and then bring it back and try to blend in?
That's always a great experience. I mean, you're never gonna get something like the real thing, but sometimes now like you can learn more like working somewhere here than over there. I mean, but listen, yeah, I could never not recommend heading overseas and like staying somewhere for like a few months and learning and just kind of seeing how they act over there, the different cultures, and that's amazing, but I would also say, you're going to also learn maybe more, here with us. I have a lot of line cooks that want to spend a year in Italy. And I'm just like, Well, number one, it's harder now. You need the visas. When I went, it was not. And number two, like there's restaurants that are making like the same or nicer food. So I would recommend head over there for a week. Head over there for a week and a half, 2 weeks. Hang out, maybe stage at a place, but stay working. Here because I still go to Italy a lot just for my own inspiration. Like I can look at something, I can eat something, and be like, oh, like I know how to make that. Like I can figure that out. But it's just like sometimes like the look of things, ambiance of things, how they're serving things, stick different combinations of things that I haven't really thought about. I'm like, oh my God, that's kind of cool. Why didn't I ever think about that? So yes and no.
I'd love to take that and talk a little bit more about when you opened up Vetri Cucina and what your vision for that restaurant was. I found a quote, Chef, from you when you first opened. And the quote is, when I first opened, it was more about where's the red sauce? Where's the veal Marcella? And I'd
Oh
say,
yeah.
I'd say, well, I don't have veal Marcella, but I have sweetbreads and thin sliced prosciutto. And the customer would say, what's a sweetbread? So
Yeah.
what was that learning curve?
Well, it was just, there were just, yeah, I mean, it was, like, there wasn't a lot of restaurants that had like real foods from Italy. It was just like the American version of it, which is awesome. I was raised on it, I mean, meatballs and all that wonderful, wonderful stuff. I mean, we still eat it now, but I wanted to open up a real restaurant that you would actually find in Italy, where you eat like salads and like some apps first, then you have like a small noodle, then you have some meat or fish, And I just used to get folks the first year walking in all the time, like there's nothing on this menu for me. I'm like, all right, well, and I've had folks walk out like, you're never gonna make it. This is ridiculous, And I was just like, well, I don't know. I like the food. Yeah, so that's just like I think anything like this is the late '90s. There was not like real Italian restaurants
Yeah, and
in America for the most part. There was I mean, a few here and there, but
yeah, it's as I think about that, the words like perseverance and you stuck with your vision and your plan, and obviously we're so glad that you did because it's all changed now, right? People look for
well,
authentic.
hell yeah. The way to motivate me is like tell me something's not going to work, Okay,
And then you're gonna do it.
I'm like, oh, I'll make it work. I'll make that round thing head in that square hole. I'll fucking make that work. And that's what everybody did. They said you're opening up a restaurant on the wrong street. It's in the wrong area. It's not large enough. You're not going to make any money. You're doing the wrong food. I was like, okay.
Yeah, they told Charlie Trotter the same thing. They told Bobby the
sure.
same thing. What
Of course.
are you opening up a restaurant from Fruili here in Boulder? And here we are.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm sure he heard it all. He heard it all. Yeah.
So
why Boulder?
And it was a crazy time. You hear these stories about 20, 25 years ago in Boulder, and there were a lot of entrepreneurs here doing some cool things. And here we are now setting the tone. And, when you think about building an empire like you have in the art of pasta, it feels like after a lot of success, you continued to wear your entrepreneurial hat and proceeded to launch, this incredible lineup of Vetri family restaurants, not just in Philly, right? I'm curious about,
Please.
I didn't know about the Urban Outfitters piece. And by the way, I love Urban Outfitters. I mean, how could you not? I was first introduced to them in Portland, Oregon. And I'm just wondering what the catalyst for that business move was.
Well, that was just kind of, it was, we had always, I had, it was like 2014 and I had 7 restaurants and I opened up the pizzeria. And that was like, wow, this is awesome. It was like mobbed and it was making a lot of money. And I was just like, wow, this one's really cool. This one might have legs, we could like open up many of these. we had always like self-funded everything. So it was just, me and my partner, Jeff. And, we had like loans, we owed the bank, whatever it was, $3-4 million. We had both of our houses were like mortgaged and refinanced. And, we just like, we basically took all the risks. And I wanted to, we open up a lot of these, but I was like, you know what, maybe for these, we ought to get some financial guys. And we started looking around, and the urban folks, they're from Philly, and we've known each other for a while. They the restaurant a lot. And so we spoke, with one financial, organization that was like, "Yo, we want this, we're going to give you $3 million to open up another 4 of these things, and we're going to own 75%. I was like, what? That doesn't sound too great. And then Urban had this kind of more thoughtful, way to do it. They were like, hey, we're thinking of this whole food and like retail thing, because everyone's kind of shopping online now, and there's less movement in the actual store. So we want to stick things around our stores that's going to make people head there, and then they're going to go to our store. So whether it's restaurants, hair salons, whatever it is. So they had this whole larger sort of thing that they wanted, so they were like, and we love this. We love the numbers for it. We'll give you $3 million for 15%. I was like, well, that sounds way better than 75%.
That sounds great.
We went with them. We opened up another one. And it was right when, I don't know if you remember when it was called Shake Shack.
Yeah.
Went on the New York Stock Exchange. It was like the morning that they announced that, they're going on the stock exchange, they're going public, yada yada. And I think Urban was thinking oh, we could do the same thing with this pizzeria. So anyway, they were like, hey, we want to own the pizzeria, the whole thing. And I'm like, all right. Wow. Never thought of selling anything before. Not what anyone opens up a restaurant for, and like selling your restaurant, it's not a thing. You don't sell restaurants, you leave, and you leave everything there, and you lose all your money. Yeah. That's what you do. That's what we do. We don't sell things in the restaurants. We lose it all.
We lose them.
That's it. So they were like, yeah, we want to own these. We want to open up more of them. But you have to come work with us, to run them. And I was like, well, I can't really, because I have 7 other restaurants or 6 other restaurants. We got to run that. And, so they were like, oh, all right, well, let me think about it. And then 1 week later, they were like, what if we swallow up all of your restaurants, and then you come work for us? You run your restaurants, and then we open up more of these. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. They were like, well, you think about it for a week, what's in, what's out. So I said, all right, let me think about it for a week. Thought about it for a week, and I said, I'll tell you everything, but I won't tell you Vetri, because if something happens, I don't want to be without a restaurant. I want to have my baby. I'm never going to sell that. So let's figure it out. So we figured that out. So that was just how the initial sort of thing went. And then when I left, sold it in 2015, worked with them for 2 years, and I left, I think, in 2017. But then I only had the one restaurant again. But that's when we opened up Vetri Vegas. Things kind of spiraled from there.
When I hear you talking about all of the moving parts, and I think about, again, the business side, Mark, of everything, you've interviewed and hired, and your people have interviewed and hired thousands of people over the years. And as you think about yourself as well, entering the business years prior, what stands out to you in an interview or in a prospective employee? What are you looking for? A part of yourself? Are you looking for, especially with young people today and entering the industry with different sort of expectations and aspirations about hours and, work-life balance and all of that? I'm just curious what you look for in a.
Yeah, I just look for, that showing up, someone who's into it, someone who doesn't have a resume of like 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. It's just all about working hard, work ethic, managing your expectations. If you have limits, that's fine. If you walk in and be like, I only want to work 4 days a week, and I only want to do this, and I want to do this, and I'll be like, fine, as long as you show up and you work hard for those 4 days, but also manage your expectations, meaning like, the guy who's like showing up early, leaving late, really showing me that he wants this, working extra, this and that, he's the one who I'm going to move to sous chef. Like he's going to hop right over you. He or she's going to hop right over you because, you have limit. Know that I got my 10,000 hours in a short amount of years because I worked nonstop and I was and that's not for everyone. And I understand that, but you're going to get yours in maybe, you're going to be a lot older when you start really like understanding this stuff.
Well said. And that's good advice and good storytelling. Chef, you're so humble. Yeah, everything you read and everything, on social media and when people hear your name, it's synonymous. And I'm not just saying this because you're here in front of me, but it's synonymous with,
Thank you.
the beautiful craft and the art of pasta making, the art of cooking, right? And I think even here at the school, I know that students get a lot of anxiety. They think that, making great pasta is complex, right? And you've kind of become this champion of simplicity, right? It's kind of your personality.
Sure.
It's just food. Let's focus on the technique, before
Yeah.
anything. I'm curious with all of the incredible concepts and the stories and the not losing Vetri and all of that, is there one particular part of your portfolio that you're more proud of than anything?
That's hard to say, maybe it's my foundation, maybe it's the work that I've done also with Alex's lemonade stand. I don't know that it's a specific restaurant, although Vetri is like the mothership and it is my baby, and I spend more hours, here than anything. But it's just everything, it's just the fact that I keep learning and figuring things out, and I'm still like excited about it. I think the most interesting thing is when we have like we have this new pasta maker here who's been with us a few months, and I was upstairs like late, working on this new Fiorella, which is like this Sardinian thing where you like stretch the noodles with your hand and put it on something. And I, just learned it last year, and I'm sort of practicing it, and I'm all excited, and I'm up there, and oh man, I think this is that's what. Yeah, so look at this, and I was all excited, and she was just laughing, and I'm like, what are you laughing? She's like, I just think it's amazing that you're just like, you've been in this industry for like so long, you have all these restaurants, but you're here like learning something, and you're like so excited about it. You look like a like an 8-year-old who's got some ice cream, and I'm like, yeah, because I love it. So I think that I think makes them excited about stuff. So they see me like still excited and learning, and so it's just
I'm excited just hearing the story.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And
Yeah.
it feels like what I was going to talk to you about next is giving back. And so in many ways, you're giving back. Even the attention that you provide this person is noticed, right? And I just love that. Before we get to, the community partnership, is there
Mhm.
is there any sneak peek or anything you can tell us about the newest book that's coming out in the fall?
The Pasta Book. Very original name. It's it's
Oh, I
amazing
love it.
that was not a name yet, but it
No one
wasn't.
took that. Oh my
No one
God.
took the Pasta Book. I mean, so I don't know.
Oh,
And it's just a great, mastering was all about the science of like the wheat and the flour and and how things work in that regard. Whereas this one is more about the whole sort of process, the whole creative,
yeah.
why this works with this, why a certain thickness is works with this kind of stuffing or this kind of noodle or this, why whole eggs works, for some things, why egg yolks works for some things, why this works with this. So it's just the whole behind the scenes sort of process of, how we figure out certain, certain, certain things.
I love
It's a really good book.
I know it is. Do you want your cookbooks to be like soiled in the kitchen, on the counter,
Oh yeah.
pages
Soiled,
Yeah, yeah.
flour all over them, the oil
Oh, olive
is
oil on
everywhere.
it. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
We have to talk a little bit beyond the kitchen. You're
Mhm.
deeply involved in food education, nutrition, philanthropy through the Vetri Community Partnership. First
Yeah.
a big thank you because it's so important. It's so important to continue to give back.
I think it is important. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the mission behind the cooking lab, the mobile teaching
So it's
kitchen?
just it basically is, our mission statement, so to speak, is we nourish the minds, bodies, maybe neighborhoods, with nutrition, education for food and cooking. So we have the mobile vans. We go to farmers markets. We go to after school programs. We have our the Vetri cooking labs where we host lessons. How to use a knife. Various recipes, various foods. We teach the importance of like fresh vegetables. We have these neighborhood labs. Our offices are on 19th Street, Garden Street. So we invite like neighbors in weekly for like food lessons, cooking lessons. We make a meal together, and then we sit down and then we eat the meal together, which is also like a very important thing within our foundation. We sort of think of ourselves as like the missing link. When you head into some of these neighborhoods and you see, they don't have the access, certain fruits and vegetables, and then you stick a farmer's market there, and they go there, and they're like, what's, how am I supposed to use this squash? How am I supposed to use this zucchini? What am I going to do with it? And we're there, and we're like, hey, here's how you slice a squash. Here's how you roast a squash. Here's how you saute a squash. Here's 4 different recipes with that squash. And then they're like, and then here's a sample of it. And then they eat it. Oh my God, this is wonderful. And then they buy the squash, so there's all that, I mean, we're in multiple schools. We touch basically, or have like 30,000 single food experiences with individuals throughout the year. And we have 35, 35 staff. We have a $2.5 million budget that we have to raise. We have to raise money for. So it's a pretty large operation. We have an amazing CEO and Matty Booth, and we're just doing what we do,
You're making a
nourishing
difference.
people.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just
Food
love
education, nutrition education. We're in medical schools, so we give 4th-year medical students who get no nutrition, education at all through medical school. So we show them, hey, you don't have to just like say to folks, oh, you should eat vegetables because everybody knows that, but you should learn recipes and what vegetables could actually help with certain things, heart disease, high cholesterol, whatever it is that, you have, to work with. Here's foods and here's recipes and here's, other items that can actually help you. So you can recommend these and the medical students love it,
That's just amazing. First of all, thank you on behalf of everyone for all that work. I've seen that research, and it's almost hard to believe that
It's crazy.
medical students don't get just basic nutrition.
Any nutrition education.
It's insane.
Not even a basic, hey,
Yeah.
this has this in it. This is iron, someone who has low iron, spinach, I mean, like, no,
Yeah.
but they don't know that. They don't know that.
It's crazy.
You know what they know? They know the iron supplements, here's
Of course.
here's a script for iron supplement.
That's a whole nother podcast. I could go down
Yeah.
a rabbit hole really quick.
I know. It's insane.
Chef, and again, like I said at the beginning of the show, the work that goes into the years of the double shifts, the shifts, your schooling, right? People can never really fully appreciate that. But at the end of the day, not just as a chef, but as a leader, as a visionary, as an entrepreneur, as a philanthropist, is there any advice that you would give to young people entering, or anyone for that matter, entering this sector, this industry, this craft that we love, that could help them make an impact beyond the kitchen?
I mean, it's such a hard thing, right? Because this just worked for me because I just love it, and it's and it's what I love. So I would actually say to anyone who's like thinking about it, just make sure this is really what you want in life. Make sure this is what you want to do. I mean, you have to love this industry more than anything in order to be able to sort of succeed at it and to make an impact, and you can make an impact. Anyone can make an impact by just showing up, showing there's no secret. There's nothing like you have to figure out. There's nothing you have to do. Show up and like do all the extra stuff. It's like you've been hearing, or you've like, the last, especially the last 4 or 5 years, writers have been writing about how like awful the industry is now. Owners take advantage of you, and no one offers health insurance, and there's this and that. And actually, me and Bobby, so when I'm out there for the summer, we ride bikes Mondays, in the afternoons, and we just, we ride for hours, and we just kind of talk, and and we were like, one of them, we were just like, it was just this article after article after article about this and like industry, and me and him were just like, I don't understand, like, and then I think someone like wrote an article on what this industry needs, and we need like fair pay, they need health insurance and 401k, they need a great culture. And me and Bobby like, well, both of our restaurant organizations have all that. Like if you're working for who's not offering you health insurance and not offering you 401k, and leave, like, what are you going to work there? Like, if nobody wants to work for them, we'll go out of business and it'll like resolve itself. Like, but don't write an article about how awful someone is when you could just like leave. I mean, I don't understand. Like, there is restaurant organizations, many of them, that have really awesome work environments, really great culture, that offer the benefits, the health insurance, all that stuff that you can, and they have multiple restaurants. So there's room to move up from line cook to sous chef to chef, from server to assistant manager to manager to som, to maybe even ownership. I've given chefs ownership. Bobby Stuckey has has given managers ownership. It's all out there. You just have to show up and work.
Such good advice. My wife Gretchen always says, no one can make you feel a certain way but yourself. You all have choices, and you summarized that beautifully. We all have choices.
We all have choices. If this industry, like everyone's like saying, is like so awful, leave it.
I love the industry too, mostly because, there's amazing people like yourself, like
Amazing
Bobby,
people.
like Brian, like others that we, that like Wolfgang that we work with and such. Chef, this has been so much fun and such an honor. Hope that you ping me or, the next time you're in Boulder, if anything, my wife wants to come and have a drink with you. It's like fish. Oh yeah,
you fly fish. We should go fly fishing this summer.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I'm gonna get online and get some howler equipment and
oh my God, yeah, the retro. Come on.
Hey, but Chef, before I let you go, the name of our show is The Ultimate Dish, and it's a tough question. And if I asked you, it could be a memory, it could be
something. You're gonna give me what's your favorite something?
What's the ultimate dish, buddy? Come on now. What is the ultimate dish?
The ultimate thing for me is late night when I get home from work and I just kind of I need an hour to just relax. My favorite thing in the world is Raisin Bran. Ultimate dish. Raisin Bran. But it's not just Raisin Bran. You have to leave it in, and this is gonna mind blow right here.
Oh,
frozen Raisin Bran. Leave it in the freezer.
No way.
You can Raisin Bran in the freezer. Take a bowl, stick the milk in. It's icy and cold, and eat it late at night. Ultimate dish.
I can honestly say we've never ever had that. As that goes right to the top of the podium, buddy, right there.
There you go. That's all.
Oh my goodness. Hey, I look forward to seeing you at some point in Boulder, but thank you for your time. Congratulations on the incredible career, and always the best.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the Ultimate Dish Podcast, brought to you by Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts. Visit escoffier.edu/podcast to find any materials mentioned during the podcast, including notes, links, and other resources. And if you can, please leave us a rating on Apple or Spotify and subscribe to support our show. This helps us reach more aspiring individuals ready to take the next step toward their dream careers. Thanks for listening.